welcome everybody to this session, which is Navigating Race and Implicit Bias in STEAM Education Environments with Dr. Lena Bakshi and Rosanna Ayers. And so we appreciate you joining us. I'm Ed Honowitz. I'm a staff member for the CDE Foundation and the host of this breakout session. During the session, you're encouraged to ask questions, share comments in the chat, let us know where you're from and any information that you'd like to share. And then everyone has access to the chat today. I'll be moderating that to help our presenters, but you'll also see a link to the session's presentation at the top of the chat, so feel free to follow along. You can click on that and open a separate window to see the PowerPoint. Although it'll also be on the screen that you're watching now. As far as sharing your video or audio, a couple of quick instructions. On our virtual platform, it allows, I think, up to 9 people to simultaneously share audio and video at one time. And there's a blue button on your screen. You can click on if you want to be added to the queue to ask a clarifying question or share your screen. And you can do that in the chat, or you can click the blue button to request to be up live. And then lastly, you'll automatically start in the gallery view with your control and display. And if you'd like one of the tiles, one of the little boxes to be larger, just double click on it. So maybe if the presentation is coming up and you want to double click on the PowerPoint, it'll become larger. And then now I'm again excited to introduce our 2 presenters, Dr. Lena Bakshi and Rosanna Ayers. So thank you for joining us, and I'll turn it over to them.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good late morning. I'm not sure what we're calling this anymore, but we're so excited to be here. And thank you, Ed, for that introduction. Lena, did you want to say anything before we get started?
No,
Tell them about your bouncy ball. Tell them about your bouncy
gosh,
ball.
you know, if you see me doing this a little too much, I'm just having way too much fun with my new chair. So also my bouncy ball. But, you know, it's a great way to bring some energy into this Zoom world where, you know, we're all in our corners and tucked away. But we're so excited to be here. And like I said, I see so many people from the chat. We've got San Lorenzo, Stanislaus County, represent. We've got Santa Maria High School. So we're so excited to really just dive in this critical work and have a great conversation today.
All right, so let's take it away. Thank you for that. So, of course, we know we're all here. We're here for navigating race and implicit bias in a STEAM classroom. And we do have some exciting outcomes. And before we get started with that, I'd like you to, in the chat, if you can place in the chat, how would you define all standards, all students? So if you'll just do that, and then also if you would like to just speak it out, definitely request that access, and either Ed or Lena or I will make sure that you're on the video, but we'll just wait a few seconds and allow people time to put into the chat, how would you define all standards, all students? And of course, if you can put your, hi, Nicole. And if you can put your area that you're in as well. So we're looking for, in the chat, all standards, all students. How would you quickly define that, like your tagline for that? Hi, Kelly.
Welcome. Love that. All means all. Exactly.
Give you just another few moments to think about that and start typing. All right. Now, Lena, would you mind reading those?
Yeah, so we've got all means all. Meet them, I'm assuming students, meet them where they are. I think it means that all students need mastery. Those are some of the comments that came about where, what do we mean when we say all standards for all students?
Okay, great. Oh, and I see that Ed joined in too. Love that. Thank you, Ed. All students have access and are engaged. in a supportive, nurturing, safe environment. All right, excellent.
When
All
we've
right.
got one more, students learning the standards regardless of where they live or what they look like. I love that, Giovanni.
Oh, I like that. Hola and aloha. Ooh, nice. All right, thank you so much. So now we're going to transition to an activity. And for this one, I want you to think closely about a time that you might have experienced and or witnessed some type of bias in an educational setting. So Lena's going to put the link to our Padlet right in the chat, and we're going to be whisked away to the Padlet, and there's going to be an area where you can type the types of things that you have witnessed in an educational setting or experienced, right? We have to acknowledge that we are within that setting and functioning in it as well. So we'll go to that and look at the comments that are being placed there. Yay, okay. So now we're seeing the comments. And thank you all for being so patient with us. As you know, we're all learning how to be on Hop In and how these different applications interact. So we appreciate it for all of you who are, clicking away and trying to get it to work. We really appreciate that. Oh, great. There's a comment there. And are you able to, Lena, are you able to read what the comment is?
Oh, right there. Oh, okay. I see. We've got it in the comments. Even better.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got it. Yes. In fact, I just opened up the comments right now. In our engineering technology curriculum, practically all the videos and images are of white men. And that is definitely prevalent. We're seeing that so much in our curriculum, in our instruction, in just the visibility of what STEM looks like.
And I see another comment as well that some who are with us are having a hard time trying to access what they need to click, where you have there the clicking the plus.
Yeah, there. You know what? I had the directions for you can click the plus and we could have this big array of red comments. But it looks like everyone's just throwing in the comments right under the comments. So we're flexible, whatever you need to do to get your voice out. You can even add your comments right in the chat. We are open.
Right. And you can come on your video so that we can see you as well. That'd be awesome if someone wants to tell us how you're processing a time that you've witnessed or experienced bias in education. We'd love that. If we've got a brave soul out there that doesn't mind being on the video for a moment, that would be great.
I just saw one comment saying, not being seen as an expert in math because I'm a Black woman. And so just really looking at the anti-Blackness that exists in STEM education and understanding like the root causes. That's something that we're going to go into as well. So thank you for your brave comments.
Do we have any more comments?
I heard an interesting comment from a dean of an engineering program at a large university who said in their program 75% of the kids in the engineering program had parents who were engineers. So it just says something about who has access and who doesn't.
Right. Yes, thank you for that, Ed. That's it's pretty powerful when we think about how we might give students entryway into these professions. If they're obviously seeing things at home and your parents very interactive, they know how to negotiate the ramp to that career. But for those who've not seen it and don't have anyone in their family involved, it might be extremely difficult. Okay, Lena, do we have any other comments there? that come to mind, or does anyone want to share?
I see. Have seen teachers suggest not including a student due to their second language. Sad. Myself, I was told in 6th grade, girls did not need to know math. Wow.
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 That is,
Whoa.
yeah.
Hold on, I needed a moment for that
I know.
one.
It's like our screens aren't frozen. We're just like, oh my.
That was a math instructor who was very big on subtraction.
Wow. Yeah, clearly.
Wow. That's yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And that is powerful. You know, we're all of us of a certain age and can remember some of the comments from childhood, right? And so that lets you know how hurtful they can be.
Right.
So now we're looking at what bias can look like, because some of the bias that we encounter might be outward and stated, like, hey, you don't belong here, like we heard in the last comment, but some of it might be a little bit more subtle. So I'm going to read this list to you. I know sometimes people don't want that, but at other times people don't have access to it or not sure what we're looking at. So this is what bias can look like or might look like: asking students to bring items from home, field trips without access, the past brought into the classroom. So an example of that might be having students spend a long time discussing what they did during the summer. That's bringing, their past into it. When you get back, you might have students who just worked or had to look after siblings, or just had a very difficult time. And then you might hear that juxtaposed to those who did get to do something fun, because people are still traveling. Reading groups, English language recommendation, honors tracking, counselor referrals for college. So yeah, that's another entryway, and homework requiring technology or Wi-Fi. So that's some of the ways that we might see bias. And Lena, if you go to the next slide as well. And this one is these are some examples of what they might look like again. And so now we're going to transition right into an activity. And before we do that, does anyone have any comments, or does anyone out there like to share something that you've seen that is considered bias through your lens, but might not be apparently, obviously quickly identifiable by others? So would anybody like to share one either in the chat or coming on the video? Because I'd really like to hear if we skipped anything and there was some other unidentified bias. So just give me a minute. Brave soul out there.
I see one comment that said interpreting students being as having attitude or tone.
Yes.
And we're so quick to just name a behavior.
Yes. I really like that. There are, of course, different resources that are available that will help educators as they're interacting with students. They might see behaviors, and of course we'll all see things through our own lens and not realizing that the behavior isn't intentionally directed at an educator. It's just a behavior. So I think they can become personalized, and that's where the bias enters in. So, all right, thank you for that. So now I'll let Lena take it away for our activity.
Yes. So if you notice, we're moving. It's like we're basically taking a 6-hour presentation and putting it in 30 minutes. So I'm glad you're keeping up. We're gonna actually go back into the Padlet, but before we go into that, I just want to give a bit of a disclaimer. We're just diving right in, and we're gonna get deep. And usually we want to spend some time norming. So just know that the next 10 minutes or so, they're going to be some heavy and difficult conversations. So I ask that you sit with it, and just know that we'll have our contact information so that we can continue the conversation, and we're happy to help you process. So These are some student groups that we have categorized, and this could be the categories from the California School Dashboard, and they could also be categories that we've seen that have particularly been victimized in education. So I just want you to sort of think about the following student groups, and you don't necessarily have to type in what you think. It could be something what you've heard in terms of working with these student groups and working with their families. So we're going to go back onto the Padlet, and if you scroll all the way down, you should be able to see I believe I made it orange. Did I make it orange? Yes. So I made it orange, and I'll actually show you what it looks like. So we are going to be right over here onto the Padlet, and you should see an area that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm at 7, 8 boxes or so. And what I want you to do is exactly what we did with the red box. I want you to click on the comments, and I just want you to type in what you have heard or what other people have heard regarding Black boys and regarding LGBTQ youth. And so we're just going to give you about 5 minutes to go through and comment and type away. And just a reminder that these are not necessarily your opinions. They are they're things that you have heard, things that you've seen, things that you've witnessed, and including the working with their families as well. So if we're clear in the questions, and I'm not finding the link, so I'll go ahead and put the link again to the Padlet, and it's right here. If you scroll all the way down, so if you just kind of we start right here with the red box, and then you go, and then you should see the orange. Yes, yeah.
And you might have to close your the chat from the previous exercise that we did to be able to see how to scroll down.
Yes. And the reason for the large space was because I wasn't sure if we were going to have a big mass of red comments, but you all were so organized with your comments, we didn't need that space.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I see the comments coming. Perfect. I will go ahead and put a quick timer.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading through them now. Thank you all for sharing. Mm-hmm.
And remember that you can scroll to the side as well. So it goes all the way down to students with special needs, white students, English learners, Muslim girls, poor children, LGBTQ youth, Black boys. All right. For some reason, okay.
Do you need into the Padlet? Barbara. Barbara, if it doesn't work for you this time, you can just put the student group that you see on the screen. You can just put the student group and then type it here, and then we'll have access at least to your thoughts, and or if you'd like to come on the video and just tell us also what you're thinking.
You can also just
go ahead.
Chat if the Padlet isn't working. So just the chat on the main screen.
Yes. And then when I say, tell me what you're thinking, I just want to clarify. We don't believe this is what you're thinking. I'm just saying making your thoughts or your comments visible, either by typing or tell us what you've heard others say about those student groups. So Barbara, just want to let you know that.
Perfect. And I'm actually going to comment for, I'll add the comment in the Padlet.
Okay, I think we've got a few.
All right. So I did ask for some brave souls. And so if I could just I'm going to invite anyone that would like to read aloud any of the comments that they've seen. So I'm asking, ideally, I would love 7 volunteers. I asked for 4 to 5. So I'm going to shoot for 7. Hopefully we get all 7. And I'm not sure, Ed, if we're able to invite all 7 to be on the panel. Oh, we've got some. All right. We're getting some additions. So volunteers.
And you know, Lena, while people are looking through and deciding which one they want to volunteer for, I'll model by reading the first one. So I'll get us started. So I'm going to the Padlet.
And it'll take just a moment for people to come on because they have to acknowledge that they allow access to their camera and audio.
Okay. So while they're doing that, I'll start. So I'll start on the far right, students with special needs. Hopefully that won't throw anyone off that I'm starting on the far right. So these are the things that we've heard about these students. They're disruptive and need to learn how to behave in a shared space with general students. Teachers have said their accommodations were diminishing the integrity of the class, that it's too difficult to accommodate them. They've heard teachers say UDL is not my job, or staff, whomever, can't participate in problem solving if haven't mastered basics. They're not going to get it anyway, so I might as well just give them a pass, and can only do the work when watered down or with lowered expectations. So those are some of the comments that have been heard. So I'll invite someone else to, if they would like to read the second from the right regarding English learners.
Todd, why don't we have you read English learners, if that's okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're all set.
Cool. Let's see, difficult or uncooperative. Not being able to understand pronunciation of some words translates to not being smart.
Mm-hmm.
Parents just don't care about their children's education, so they do not participate or help their child. They're just so uneducated. Can't engage in deep problem solving without proper vocabulary, and need to focus on their language skills. They aren't ready for STEM. Oh,
I
a
know
couple
it's
more.
revolting, but yeah.
Let's see.
All right, thank you so much, Todd.
Mhm.
And then just since it's going with our slides, if we can get one on the far left.
Barbara,
And
were you
Barbara,
volunteering?
Okay, this is, what am I reading?
Black Boys.
Black boys, loud and unruly, stigmatized that they are troublemakers and can't sit still, always up to no good, oppositional, angry, unruly, not interested in learning, not gate, assumed to be defiant versus independent or other positive traits, laughs at how they phrase, I can't read that one, concepts or ideas. They are correct, just not worded. Let's see, I think my screen is going dark. Okay. Let's see, I can't see that.
I think your screen is not happy with
No.
what it's hearing.
Lately, I feel the need to explain BLM and how it is not enough to say, can't follow directions when directions was asked in the form of a question, would you please sit down? The way out or the way up is usually athletic.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Nicole, for volunteering. I just saw the clock and time flies when, I guess, even when you're not having fun too and being really, stressful comments. So I do want to take this moment to really just take a deep breath and just let it out, because really looking at the lived reality of what our students are hearing. And this isn't necessarily what we may think of our students. However, it's what our students are experiencing on a daily basis. So this actually was adapted from Dr. Julia Aguirre's Math Methods course. And we have this ongoing message around Black boys and mathematics. Like, they're not interested. There's a loss of energy. There's lots of energy. There's a low attention span. And it's up to us as we go back to school and as we go back into our STEM settings and STEAM settings, that we want to reframe our STEM space. And we want to be able to create a way to that, so that we as educators and as leaders can reaffirm this space. So when we hear something like these students can't speak English, how can we, reframe it and rephrase it to something like, oh, they're fluent in other languages. So I want you to just take a moment. You can do this in the comments. You can do this in the Padlet as well. Take one of the comments that you heard, especially one that was, perhaps very triggering. Like earlier for me, it was, oh, you don't need to learn math. You're for a girl, and how would you reframe that? And so something for me, I would most definitely reframe it as mathematics is a life language and it's meant for every human being. And I'll just say animal too, like, it's for the tigers, it's for my dog.
Everybody.
My dog sure does know more and less. I'll tell you that.
Right, they do.
I'll tell you that. So this is something how you would really, reframe it in terms of a strength framed approach. And I think that that's something that's so vital for us as educators, is to really take that stand. And I also want to spend some time understanding that, we didn't just talk about race. There's also poverty. There's also students with special needs. And it's up to us as educators to really look at how the different groups are conflated. Sometimes when we talk about racism and Black Lives Matter, all of a sudden we want to talk about, well, wait, I was poor though. And we really have to see how we can demarcate those conversations and hear our students. So pandemic or not, at a distance or not, you can do this activity. We've given you all of the directions so that you can do this with your staff and with your in your context. And now you have a way to do it at a distance as well. So this is something that we wanted to model. And, you know, just as you continue your work, how can you really put equity at the forefront of your work? So at this time, we're just going to have you go back to your definition of how you would define all standards, all students. Let's revise your model, you know, throw in that NGSS. And just know that we've got some resources for you. And of course, our contact information as well. So like I said, time flies when you're having fun and when you're having difficult conversations. So here is our information. We'd love to continue the conversations, and we're happy to bring this work to your school and district and context as well.
So we're just about at the end of our time here. I want to really thank Lena and Rosanna for a great presentation, great energy, even though we had some technical challenges here, but great
technical challenges.
Great work. And, you know, there's just so much content here. Clearly, we could go, you know, for a very long time on all of this to really get into it. But please feel free to connect with them. You can click on the pinned sort of in the chat. You'll see where their slide presentations are. So that has additional information in their contact info as well. And then we're going to go on to a break here. We have the last general session coming up. I think our two presenters may be available for a little bit longer if you want to stay on. So instead of going on a break, if you want to stay, they can probably continue to interact with you. But if you would also like to, you know, use any of the other features, the expo hall, the networking feature, those are all there for you if you'd like to chat or interact with other attendees. So thank you all for being here today. And Dr. Bakshi and Rosanna Ayers will stay with you for a little bit, and then we have a 15-minute break to come back for the closing session. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you joining us.
Yes, thank you. It was an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just hang out for a few minutes and see if anyone had any questions, comments, responses.
I know, Nicole, it was so short.
Here's an opportunity for us to lean into equity and create experiences. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And really just beginning that shift. Thank you. Thanks, Melissa. Call us.
Right. We agree. And again, you know, we have hours worth of content, so we're just doing a short activity, but we would love to help facilitate a deeper discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Yes.
Yes. And Nicole and Melissa and Ed. Thank you, Ed.
Yes. Oh, we try to be as enthusiastic, even in difficult conversations. You know, we really need to carry out this message. Yeah, definitely. The Padlet is there. So if you remake it, you can sort of delete all the comments and use it as a tool as well. And you have a link to our presentation, and that's the tiny URL / what I tried to come. I know I tried to come up with something simple and then I forgot. So let me copy it.
Yeah, there we go. I hit back to school with a 2.
Yes.
Oh, Craig missed it. Oh, okay, great. I'm glad you're going to watch it later. The comment was that he had missed it, but he's going to watch the recording later.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're going to have these recordings available too. That's, you know, one of the perks of technology.
Thank you, Nicole, for joining us.
Can I just ask you a question here? I know this is like we have little time and it's a giant issue, but in relation to sort of like creating spaces of equity, how in a time when most kids are connecting virtually and we don't have even face-to-face interaction, how can educators help to address that issue in a virtual space?
I have some ideas, but I'll let you go first, Lena.
I mean, I was just going to say that in terms of maintaining connections, it's still important. It's still vital for us to have those relationships and have those connections and those discussions. So whether it's a one-on-one discussion, whether it's in the chat box, whether it's, share your screen and talk, like any sort of way to really establish a connection. Maybe it's a phone call even. So those like interstitial ways to still connect and maintain. That's something that I would do. Rosanna, I'm excited to hear yours.
Yeah, Ed, as you were saying that, I was really thinking about the fact that these conversations are taking place all over, all the time. What isn't happening is educators are not being given access to students' inner minds and what they're really thinking about race, because we don't have that trust and we don't have that relationship. So I think for an educator who really wants to get this started, they might decide, hey, I know you guys are talking about this and thinking about this. Can I, just as an observer, be part of it? I'm not judging. I just want to know what you guys are thinking, how you're feeling. Would you give me that honor to let me hear how you're processing, and then give me some time to think of how I can support those conversations? And I think that might be really powerful in this day, because there's not going to be the opportunity to, sneak up on kids in the lunchroom or in the hallway and hear what they're saying. So it's almost like you have to create this space and then give people permission to express themselves and tell them that your intention is to give them support, but you have to hear it and you're not going to judge it, and it's going to be painful, but you just want to help do the work. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's great. And I think there also needs to be sort of both the time and the space for staff to have hard conversations themselves about what kind of a school climate culture they've got in their spaces. And, is there even the psychological safety for the staff to engage in those conversations?
Yeah.
Right. Let me see this. All right.
Oh. Yeah, you know what, Gina, we're happy to connect. I'd love for you to just, shoot us an email, and we'd love to continue the conversations. And I think you bring up a really good point about just, some of the disadvantages of being virtual. And, we have our Padlet, we have our this, right, and we're moving fast.
So fast.
So, and there's definitely a lot to pack within 30 minutes or so.
Right. And our intention was to have a little bit of interaction, barring technical incidents, would always happen, but to have that interaction and not really set it up as a panel discussion. But there are times in which a panel discussion would be entirely appropriate, but we just wanted to give you a little tool or a tidbit to start you thinking about how you might structure conversations with other adults. And again, as Lena said, we'd be so happy to help support that for you or your organization, informal educators, classroom, wherever you're at in your process. We'd love to help support that and return to our meteor 3 hour versus 30 minutes. We'd love to put a little bit more meat on the bone for you, for sure.
Exactly. This is typically a 3-hour session. So right. Yeah, if you are hungry, trust me, we're hungry too.
Right.
Think of this as just a sampler, a little taste.
I got the piece. She'll take the box.
Yeah.
I love it. Nice.
Well, and you helped us bring the energy too this morning, so thank you for that earlier.
Well, you're both great, and it's such a huge issue. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities to bring you back and have you engage in other places, and really appreciate you being here to support the work and be part of our virtual event. So I'm going to jump off here now, but really great to meet you, and would love to reconnect at some point and see where we might draw on your expertise and insight in some other program areas that we have within the CDE Foundation. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes,
right.
thanks. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you so much.